It's great to be here in Fort Lee. Mayor Sokolich is one of our outstanding mayors in our state, runs a great community, and we appreciate him hosting us. And I want to start by thanking you, Governor, for your leadership, for your partnership, and for standing up for New Jerseyans, especially as we work hand in hand to defeat New Jersey's misguided congestion tax proposal. I appreciate my colleagues in Congress, Congressman Gottheimer, Congressman Pasquale, who have been at the forefront on this issue, an incredible legislative delegation from the state, the speaker here, a bipartisan effort, with Senator Logano leading the way along with Senator Brammer. It just says that when it comes to New Jersey, we are all together, regardless of party affiliation, and to an incredible Bergen County delegation that is here as well. In 2019, when New York's congestion tax proposal was still in its preliminary stages, Governor Murphy and I were asked what our response would be. As a united front on both the state and federal level, we drew a line in the sand, calling it a non-starter and a double tax on Garden State residents. Simply put, New Jersey commuters shouldn't have to pay twice. First, the hefty tolls across the Hudson, and then a congestion pricing surcharge on top of it. Under no circumstances should the state of New York and its MTA make up its budget shortfall by squeezing every dollar from the neighbors across the river, which is why today, more than 3 years later, we continue to vehemently oppose this disastrous proposal. New York's congestion tax plan, in my view, is a brazen money grab. It's highway robbery. It's anti-middle class, anti-small business, anti-common sense for communities that call this side of the Hudson home. And I believe it also violates the Interstate Commerce Clause. And every single one of us here today will not stop, we will not quit, until this harmful policy is reconsidered and rescinded. Earlier this year, when the Department of Transportation allowed this congestion tax to move forward, there was an immediate outcry from New Jersey leaders. Governor Murphy called it unfair, misguided, ill-advised. Congressman Gottheimer said it was a cash grab by the MTA. On my end, I called it a tax shakedown, a slap in the face to the fundamental idea of democracy and fairness between our two states. But no matter the choice of words we use for this proposal, and you should know you've done something wrong when you tick off the entire state of New Jersey, no matter what we call it, we're in lockstep agreement that it's time to fight back and defeat this proposal. Here in the Garden State, we don't mince words. We say what we mean, and we mean what we say. So when I say that we're going to use every tool we have to oppose New York's congestion pricing plan, I mean it. To that end, I've introduced legislation with almost the entire New Jersey delegation that would protect our state's commuters and impose highway sanctions on New York if they continue on this outrageous path. It would require New York to meaningfully engage with New Jersey and receive consent from us before implementing their plan, guaranteeing New Jersey a seat at the table for any future congestion pricing proposals. Their actions would materially affect not only our pocketbooks, but the well-being of our residents, which is why, as an enforcement mechanism, if New York decides to barge ahead with their misguided plan, under my bill, they would lose up to 50% of the federal highway funds. That's right, half. Now, some might call this strategy hardball, but then again, those people clearly don't understand that we will do everything within our power to protect New Jerseyans. If any state, be it New York or any other, wants to shake down New Jerseyans in order to balance their budget, they have another thing coming. Now, I take no joy in suggesting that we should cut New York's federal transportation funding, but when you make decisions that affect the quality of life of our residents and you give us no say, no participation, no consideration as to the consequences, then you have brought onto yourself what's coming. So if they don't, they should abandon their arrogant plans to charge up to $23 a day to out-of-state commuters who are facing high tolls and rising costs of life as it is. So we strongly support the governor's lawsuit against New York. We support him, oppose this plan, because it was unilaterally given the green light in a haphazard and scientifically unsound way. By the MTA's own admission, This congestion tax plan will increase traffic congestion and airborne pollution in Bergen County. That's careless at best and callously cruel at worst. According to projections, this congestion pricing plan would also strip the Port Authority of nearly $1 billion in lost revenue, leaving them vulnerable to delaying long overdue capital projects that are about mobility, quality of life, the environment, and therefore would be delayed. That is a huge consequence to bi-state residents. And despite clear evidence that New York's plan would increase particulate matters in communities in New Jersey, the Federal Department of Transportation approved the congestion tax without conducting a full environmental impact statement. As I told Secretary Buttigieg in a call I had with him in the last 2 weeks, that is both scientifically unsound and a dangerous precedent to set. Under the laws established in 1970 by the National Environmental Policy Act, federal agencies must evaluate the effects of their actions on the air we breathe, the water we drink, and so on. They must ensure that impacted communities can provide input into the process. The Department of Transportation and project sponsors in New York clearly failed to do that with congestion pricing. By issuing a so-called environmental assessment instead of a full-scale environmental impact statement, federal bureaucrats simply kick the can down the road, shirking their responsibility to fully consider the environmental costs of their actions. Those consequences are unacceptable for our citizens. So we will not stand by as New Jerseyans are left holding the bag when transit officials in New York or DOT officials in Washington make bad decisions. The congestion pricing plan is a no-win, lose-lose scenario for our state's families and small businesses who rely on the bridge and the tunnels every day. To exclude New Jersey voices from decision-making, to push through a sorry excuse for an environmental study, to run roughshod over the rights of Garden State residents is something we cannot stand for. With their actions, New York and the MTA have clearly shown that they will spare no expense to balance their budget on the backs of middle-class families in our state. We have to protect our residents from an unprovoked power grab. New Jersey will never lay down when it is threatened by bullies. We will always fight back when economic opportunity and quality of life are at risk, and we will relentlessly use every tool at our disposal to stop congestion pricing plan in its tracks. That's a Jersey promise. Thank you very much.